জ্ঞাননেত্রে রাজভূমি বো নাটে জনবায়ু চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব ন চ প্রাণ নবৈ পঞ্চবায়ু নব সপ্ত ধাতু নব পঞ্চকোশা নব পানিপাদ ন চ বাস্তবায়ু চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব নমে বিশ্বরাগ নমে লোভ ওয়ারুণৈব বিনৈব মাৎসর্যভাব ন ধর্ম ন চার্থ ন কামো ন মোক্ষ চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব ন পুণ্যং ন পাপং ন সুখং ন দুঃখং ন মন্ত্র ন তীর্থ ন বেদ ন যজ্ঞা ভোজনং নৈব ভোজং ন ভূতং চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব নামে তুলসঙ্কা নামে জাতি বেদ পিতা নৈব মে নৈব মাতা ন বন্ধু ন মিত্রং নৈব শিষ্যা চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব চিদানন্দ রূপ শিব শিব অহং নিরাকার রূপং বিভূত্যাচ সর্বত্র সর্বৈশ্বরাণাং च संगतं नैव मुक्ति न मे चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप
আমরা এখন বেদিক চ্যান্টিং করব, সবাই পার্টিসিপেট করুন। ওম বাগ্মে মনসি প্রতিষ্ঠিতা मनः मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठिता। आबिहि आबिहि मेधि वेदस्यामानि स्तः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहसिहा। अनेनोदितेन अहोरात्रान् संददामि। रीतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि। तत्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु। अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
ओम शांति शांति।
ओम आपयन्तु मम अंगानि प्राणचक्षुः।
ओम आपयन्तु अंगानि
श्रोत्रमाधः बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि। सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदाम्। माहं ब्रह्म निरकुर्यात् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणमेऽस्तु धर्मस्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु शांति शांति
ओम
शांति
शांति शांति शांति।
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
ओम
पूर्णमदः
पूर्णमदाय पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात्
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेव अवशिष्यते
पूर्णस्य
ओम शांति शांति शांति
ओम शांति शांति।
ओम सहनो भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु
ओम
इयं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनो अधितमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 ओम शांनो मित्रः शां वरुणः शां नो भवति हरिओमः नो इंद्रः बृहस्पतिः शां नो विष्णु रुक्रमः नमः ब्रह्मणे नमः देवाय
नमः
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तद्मामवतु तद्भक्तानामवतु तु मामवतु भक्तानाम् ओम शांति 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 ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृण्वाम देवा
Om
Om
Bhadram Karnevi
Bhadrangkarne
Shrinivaro
Vishnudeva
Bhadrang Pushima
Bhadram
Bhadram
Yamunacha
Hidayangai Tustuvang Kasino Devahitang Yarayu Om Shanti 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 আমরা আমাদের আলোচনায় প্রবেশ করছি। Today, the program is being conducted from a place in London. This is a place at the central London. It's a place in a hotel called Marriott Bonvoy. And today we are conducting from here. The objective of the program is making of today's program is attempted to discuss the making of a divine life. There are a lot of discussions so far in the world in various streams of thoughts and cultures on the divinity in world, divinity in life. There are a lot of people who are against the thoughts of divinity, and there are some thoughts wherein it's being identified that divinity is something which goes against the doctrine of karma or principles of work and action. And it has been alleged that the divinity is something which creates inaction among people, and it attempts to foster the fatalism, the concept of fatalism, particularly some scholars and some professors and functional people in philosophy, in Sanskrit, in even the Vedic department of certain universities last 100 years, they have actually copied and echoed the views and thoughts of some of those leading Western scholars who had identified the certain things in Vedas, Upanishads, and the ancient scriptures of India and branded those as actually making people incapable of fighting in life and positioning in life through the efforts and activities. I totally, thoroughly reject all these views. And there are a lot of other scholars, other, practitioners now in India and in various places in the world who actually have rejected and thoroughly, discarded that view with the full examples and full evidence and full rationale of the thoughts. I'm just going to create some perspective and rationale why divine life is essential. The life on world has been actually the life which is the life which is devoted to the things and thoughts, actions and perspectives of the world. And in that, the objective of life has been identified as material gain, and material gain towards creating pleasure in life. Now, pleasures are of various types and kinds. Behavioral scientists yeah, are one in one, for this perspective. There could be many, but then very popular one is Abraham Maslow. He is actually very popular among young practitioners of theories in management, in philosophies, and in certain other functional areas. And his, model, which is known as the pyramid of needs, it believes that human being essentially is an animal. Man is essentially a animal who has transformed the physical formation and somewhat mental formation, but then basically it's an animal. And what is that kind of animal? It has been branded very clearly, and it has been mentioned very clearly by this group of people that man is a needing animal. And now, needing animal meaning what? An animal which is always in search of fulfilling the need. Yes, of course, human being has got needs. The needs of various types, the needs to have a shelter over the head, needs to have a square meal, needs to have, things to put on. Also, beyond all these, needs to have a, flourished life, a decent life, a life which is full of happiness, joy, and life which is contented and which can bring in contentment to others associated with that life, maybe in a unit called family, in a unit called society, in a larger unit called a nation, or even the world. Now, this perspective has actually put life to a very small periphery of definition. Now, human life, if human being has to be equated to animals only, and human being to be branded as animals, then only there is no hope for human being. Now, there is no hope for human being animal in the society. Now, animal has got what? The animosity is the basic trait and character of an animal. Basic trait and character of animal is the animosity. And what are the rules? The rules is known as the rules of jungle. What is the rule of jungle? Yes, some of the Western scholars have actually, identified that as a predominant and recommending, rules. The rules of jungles, wherein the survival of the fittest is actually drawn from the rules of jungle. The lion, which has got the most, most visible, most, deliverable strength and valor, is the king of that jungle. Now, the lion does what? It defeats all others and it attacks anyone which comes almost parallel or close to it and challenge its position. Now, the question is, a lion being the king of the jungle establishes the rule of jungle, which is a superiority of the might. Now, does it happen, or can we accept the fact that superiority of the might or the muscle strength is considered as a superiority of the attributes of being a good human person? Do we respect and honor a person who has the ability to kill 100 others? Or on the other side, we respect a person who has got the ability to create a peace, harmony, and homogeneity among many millions, billions, or thousands, or hundreds, or few. So you see, if you look at this, the kind of arguments that the Western society has put across, if you come to the fundamentals of that, you will see the voidness of those arguments. Those arguments are all almost void and imposed. Now, when the psychologists, brand human being as a needing animal, what do? They identify that the marketplace is a place where people come with different kinds of needs and demands. And the market is comprised of two things as basic tenets of the market, basic forces of the market. One is the forces of demand, and the other one is the forces of supply. Now, forces of demand come from where? From the lives, from people, from human being, living in societies, living in places across the globe. When they come to the marketplace, or now in the virtual marketplace, when they are digitally connected in the marketplace, what they do, they have got certain, specific varieties of demands. Now, the demands are need driven, no doubt about it. But the need is not to the extent of, forgetting everything, all values, all ethical perspective, all perspectives of morality, and then exercising the need in any way, অর্থাৎ or to make it simple for those who understand in Bengali, যেখানে হচ্ছে যে নিড যখন এই চাওয়া পাওয়ার জগৎ আসছে, চাওয়া পাওয়ার জগতে মানুষের মধ্যে একটা চাওয়া পাওয়া আছে, সেটা তার জীবন ধারণের জন্য চাওয়া পাওয়া আছে। বাট দেন এই জীবন ধারণের জন্য যে চাওয়া পাওয়া, দ্যাট ইজ নট অল, সেটাই সব নয়। সেই চাওয়া পাওয়াগুলি আবার তার একটা সুন্দর জীবন ধারণের জন্য চাওয়া পাওয়া হতে পারে, আবার কারোর কারোর তার থেকে অনেক বেশি বেশি চাওয়া পাওয়া হতে পারে। So when we come to the fact of the market and fact of the society, we find that the demand arises out of certain kinds of needs which are primordial and basic fundamentals to living a good life. Now that there is no harm in that, there is no point of conflict in that. Somebody's Mr. A has got a need, Mr. B and others could have got the need of the same variety or different variety. Now, all these needs are collated, collaborated, combined, and made into a total cumulative need and demand of the society that becomes a force. That becomes a market force with a need. The moment there is a need, there has to be the other side of it to fulfill the need through supplies. So, demand occurs and arises, therefore, there are supplies. So, this is how the global society has come up and the modern society has actually built itself. Now, if you look at the social strata, in the social strata in different places, you will find that in the social strata, the points, I'm now right now in UK, United Kingdom, the kingdom of United Kingdom. And I observe and I knew and I know, and many of you should be knowing. And if somebody wants to, disagree, may disagree, but if somebody wants to have talks, I'm open to talks. Now, the position in United Kingdom, say for example, now at one point of time they were our masters. They were ruling our country. India was being ruled by them, and now it is not that as a fact. But then even there are people, a small segment of urban society people here, who even now think that they are superior. Now, this kind of the social dichotomy and social divisions on the notional hierarchy is, I guess, present everywhere in the world. It is present in the further Western world, like the North Americas, the South Americas, African region, and very strongly in some part of European region. But again, most part of European region has diluted that concept and made a concept of equality more important, more acceptable, more prioritized on that. Thanks to European society in general and the majority in the European society, that they have actually attempted to create a homogeneous humanity, prioritizing it over other forces of discrimination. Now, you see, even then, few people are there who discriminate. They think that they are superior. They think that there are lords. They think that they are, class one, and others should be treated and considered as class two or even lesser classes. So this kind of discriminatory views are there. This is, the reason why some of the people who think that, this needing animal is a, dominant view. Actually, there are some, very few, meaning it is not even a minority in the sense of minority that we have, is actually a small class of people who think that this needing animosity is the basics and fundamentals of human being. Major human society, most people in the human society, they think and believe that, you see, this humanity is something which is above all other needs and demands. That is the reason why when there was a, if you look at Carlyle's description of French Revolution, you will find at the point of French Revolution, there were thousands of young people who had jumped into and dared their lives to create equality, fraternity, and independence of thoughts and views, and in their society. You see, this education for women in the modern world, those who think that the Indian society in the ancient period did not contribute anything, they should first take off from their own current standard of thinking and current process of thinking for at least 2 decades, 20 years minimum, to spend it on the Vedic philosophies and the scriptures of Vedic period, not just taking certain comments from somebody and repeating that in their own voice. It will never suffice, and it is never a representative comment or statement by a person. So the point is, human society in the modern world has actually gone by and large in favor of generic human being, not those specific or a dominant few who consider that they are different from others. They are unequal among all the other equals. They feel, they consider that way. Let them feel, let them have a feel even now, and let them continue to have a feel. But our focus is not that. Our focus is sang gachudvang, sang badudvang, sang bhumanam sijanutam, diva bhagi yatha purve, sang jananaha upasate, samani bo akuti samana samani hridayani vaha. So that means the principle and the call for equality. Who gave first in the world? Nobody in the European region, no political philosopher, no social activist, no person from any of the universities of modern time. It was all given by, this call was given by the most ancient period, in the most ancient period, by the Vedic sages. What did they voice about? They had voiced about the equality of human beings. And that said, yes, intrinsically human beings are equal. One is always equal with the other. Equality in what respect? In all respect. But again, the differences could be there because two individuals are different on their behavior, on their inputs in the, for their being, their genealogical structure, their inheritance, their, coming up, and their mental frame. Every person is different from the rest of the world. Again, every person is equal to the rest of the world. Why? The Vedic sages had discovered that, there was a conversation between Nachiketa and Yama. Nachiketa is a young scholar, young sage, very young sage, below the teens. And he had the opportunity to have a transaction, direct talks, direct discussion through because of certain things he had with the Lord of Death Yama, and there were certain fundamental doctrines he could retrieve, he could learn from the Lord of Death Yama. And in that it was mentioned that Angushta Matra Shriram, like, this Atma, this Atman. Atman is what? It's not just the self as we, decipher in English. Self is something which gives the external identity of the person with somewhat, intrinsic factors included in. Atman is something which is much deeper into that, and it's the fundamental in the making of a life. It's the seed of a life. Is the seed that maintains the life. Is the seed that takes the life to culmination. Is the seed that becomes and remains a watcher in the life. And how does it perform? It's a representation of the supreme divine in every cell, and the Supreme Divine seated within every human being in the core of the heart is a person, is an entity who is actually a person in void, no structural description, no form, yet he has got every form. He can take any form, he can take any kind of description. He is she, he is it. And he can have the descriptions of any variety, any dimensions, any magnitude, any span of time, and any way he can prove himself and he can exist, and he does exist. And he existed in the beginning, he existed in the prior period, he exists now, he is going to continue in the existence for the future period, and he is eternal. And he is omniscient. How is omniscient? Meaning he is present everywhere, every place. He cannot be, looked at in only one particular corner of the world or only one particular institution in the world. He is, and essentially, he is always present and present everywhere in the world. As I can now talk from here, from London, to people, who like and love this program of Vedas, and they are seated across in many places. I guess one person is connected from here itself. There are other people who are connected from different parts of India, and there were people this week. We don't have anybody from Germany, but there are our good, young persons who are connected from Germany, from different parts of the world. So how? That means the voice is present everywhere. The thought is present everywhere. The voice can come from anywhere. The thought may come from anywhere. And the essence, of course, is more profound than what we can create. Our position, our capacity is very limited, small, but the divine is enormous, infinite. Divine is infinite, similarly small on one hand, and more than infinity times of infinite larger. It has been mentioned, Anaho Maniyan Mahato Mayan Atamaho Jantuhu Hridayam Guhaya. So, the Atman, the Supreme Self in the form of Atman can reside within a personality, within a life. And how can it be? It can take the shape of smaller than the smallest you can visualize, and larger than the largest that you can think of. So, it has got every dimension, it can take any dimension. So, what is the purpose? What is the purpose for which the Vedic sages 30,000 years ago had thought of God, had thought of the Supreme Divine, had thought of Brahman, and had said, Brahma Gyan, the knowledge of the Supreme, is essential in life? Why it was so? Prior to these modern times, Sri Ramakrishna was there in Dakshineshwar. He used to mention that Ishwar Lavi Jivaner Uddesha, the meaning of which is, he used to tell upon people that, realization of God or achieving the spirit of God in life is to be, or has to be, or is recommended to be the main and cardinal objective of your life. And why it should be so? This was again spread by Swami Vivekananda in the Western, Eastern, every part of the world. And there are many noble people who have spread out the concept of divinity in the world. I'm not naming them, but there are really many noble people who have actually done, not only from the scriptural arena of the Vedas and our scriptures, but also from other system of thoughts as well. However, there are others who have actually ridiculed and maligned this, and they continue doing this. So that's no harm. Let them do, they should do. Because, there are some people who would feel that filthy things are good for life. Let them be happy with that. There should be other people who think that, flowers are good. No, beautiful flowers are good. The flowers with good fragrance is good. There should be, so they should go for that. Now, those who think the flowers in life, the lotus in life should blossom, those who think that life should be a life of nobility, those who think that life should be a life of greatness, they have the opportunity, if they wish and want, to go for the concept of divinity. And that's what has been mentioned by the sages over the ages during the Vedic period of 30,000 years ago onwards and until today and to various phases. And if you look at the conversation between Lord Sri Krishna and the most devoted person of Lord Sri Krishna and the dearest devotee of Lord Sri Krishna, Arjuna. Arjuna was the dearest person to Lord Sri Krishna. If we look at the domain of Lord Sri Krishna, we'll find in the Bhagavatam, he used to love and like the people who were there resident in that Vrindavan areas, the gopis and gopinis, those who were the devotees of Lord Shri Krishna and the companions and the friends in the activities in the early age of Lord Shri Krishna. They were very dear to him. But yes, they were very dear. They were very close. He used to love them very much. He used to like them very much. He used to be with them very much. And he had spent a long span of his early life and somewhat next phase of his life in the midst of those people, those strong devotees, those ideal devotees. They were all ideal, they were all true, they were all actually devoted, committed, and they had a sacrifice. They had an ultimate sacrifice, sacrificing everything. They used to rush to the call of God. Whenever there was a flute, played by Lord Shri Krishna in that Vrindavana period, and that flute used to tell that, come on, come on, come on, come on here. We let us have the talks of God. So he used to call upon people and the people would have rush to him, used to rush to him. And what are the situations? Bhagavad has mentioned certain situations in various places, and the situations described in this way, like somebody was cooking and she thought that, okay, now the flute is now being blown by him, so I need to rush to God. So whatever was the position, leaving aside that at that way, that condition, she used to rush. Somebody was plowing in the field and he used to hear, whenever he heard that the flute is on, he thought that, oh, yes, he has come and he is calling me. So I need to rush. So leaving aside whatever the work done, at whatever level and condition the work was, leaving aside that, used to rush to the to get a company of God like this. So, the devotees, whoever, wherever, whatever, and they used to rush to God whenever they had heard of his, giving a call through a, neutral flute playing, and the flute was just telling it is the place of God. Those who are, interested to come and join, come on and join this place of God. Have the enjoy the nectar of the divine presence. Enjoy the nectar of that, and you transform your life. How to transform the life? Lord Sri Krishna had said certain things, certain advices he gave to some people in that connection during that period, but it was never comprehensive. And there were a lot of devotees, and even the incarnates of God had appeared so many times later on in the world, and devotees and incarnates who were in the stream of devotion, they were there. We call them as the Vaishnavais. So those who were there, they were also, they are very important. They're all very strong in their own ways of thinking God, and they were very dear to God. And there were a lot of people like these, a lot of avatars or the incarnates of God had appeared and had spread the divinity of God and spread the devotional aspect of God to people on earth. But then none of them, no one in the history, no one in the prehistory, no one else at any point of time in the journey of human being in this creation had the opportunity, chance, and blessings of God like Arjuna. That is why Lord Sri Krishna has mentioned Arjuna, the best, among the people, among human being, among all human being on earth and in this creation. Who is the best? Arjuna is the best. Why? Because Arjuna was actually a person who has given up everything, but he did not. Apparently, if you look at Arjuna, he was not a person who is renunciated. The normal condition of renunciation, which goes along, it doesn't, approve Arjuna because he was a married person. He had a wife. He became the father of a son. And he was a person who was known as a warrior. And he was a warrior par excellence, the best warrior considered ever. He was a warrior with a lot of strength of mind and everything. But warrior, what has to do? Warrior will actually kill in the war field the people who are against the principle which this warrior is actually for holding, or this warrior is actually in favor of. What was the principle that he was in favor of? He did not have any personal principle. He did not have any personal choice. He did not have any personal taste preferences. He did not have any personal inclination. He did not have any personal advices even. He had a total dedication. Total dedication to whom? To the person whom he has understood that he is the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. And what he did, had considered the moment they understood that each of them was a friend to each other. And at that moment onwards, they considered that each one is a true friend to other. The mother of Arjuna, Kunti, for the first time submitted a prayer to Sri Krishna, who is like his son. And the prayer was, O Lord, I know that you are the Supreme Lord. You be graceful enough to consider Arjuna as your friend in life. In Bengali, if we talk about কুন্তী অর্জুনের কাছে ও কৃষ্ণের কাছে সে কৃষ্ণের কাছে প্রার্থনা করলেন, নিজের ছেলের মতো শ্রীকৃষ্ণ তার কাছে কুন্তী করজোড়ে প্রার্থনা করলেন। কুন্তী প্রার্থনা করলেন, হে প্রভু, আমি জানি তুমি সেই সচ্চিদানন্দ সনাতন, তুমি সেই পরব্রহ্ম, তুমি অর্জুনকে তোমার সখা হিসাবে গ্রহণ করো। And that was done. Even before the prayer, that was done, but actually the prayer had also a role in that. Lord Shri Krishna had accepted Arjuna as his friend, but he had a purpose. What was his purpose? He came on earth with a purpose. He came on earth with a purpose to crush the unrighteousness and establish the righteousness on earth. So, unrighteousness to crush. Prior to having crushed, what is the position of unrighteousness? Like there are a lot of people now in the world who talk so much against our Vedas and so much against our India's ancient scriptures and the good thoughts that we try to hold and spread out. These are the people who actually represent the demonic world. See, among the great scholars, the demonic world also had a scholar. They had also an acharya. Acharya Shukra was an acharya for them, a teacher Shukra. He was also a nice person. But again, since he gave word to those people that I will nurture you and train you and give you the light, He started nurturing, training, and giving them light, but at the end, he had to lament, saying, "No one has accepted the gift of light which I wanted to give it to them. No one had accepted that. No one." So that Acharya had a failure at the end because he could not convert the demonic personalities to divinely souls. Because by nurturing their habits, by giving value to their habits, you can't transform them. If you wish to transform them, you need to inject in them, in their character, gradually, slowly, certain inputs, certain factors which would transform their character, which would transform their way of life, which would transform their ideals of life, which would transform their ideals in living a life, which would transform their vision of a good life, which would transform their expectations for a good life. What are the expectations for a good life which they would actually entail? The expectations are that the life has to be lived on a goodness. Life has to be lived on a span of things which can be spread out to everybody. Life cannot be just a life of acquisition. The principle of acquisition, which Martin Russell had advocated for in the concept of man, is as a representative of the Western, philosophical society, he has actually correctly put it across, and he has, represented correctly the Western society's voice, saying that acquisition, you have to acquire, acquisition, and then what? Acquisition, then you possess. You acquire, you possess. And then what? You acquire, possess, and consume. Acquire, possess, and consume. But the question was asked to him, when you are saying that acquire, acquisition, what are the methods of acquisition? Do you think that acquisition as an ends in itself should also be based on a means which are good? Now, Russell had said acquisition for the best interest of the human being has to be recommended. Meaning what? Meaning there is no basic guiding cardinal principles based on which the acquisition should be adhered and recommended. So, acquisition through any means is a kind of acquisition that was there in the Western society. However, I have respect for some of those really, for specialists, really good scholars in the Western society, noble people in the Western society, like, Socrates, who had said, Nathishiyatan, know thyself. You need to have an understanding of your intrinsic being and look for truth, search the truth. Where from he has got it, where from he has been trained for that, that's a different issue. Today's discussion will not get into that. And then again, his disciple Plato. Plato has a noble idea of getting a noble society created out of the current society. The society having the elements of divinity in its, realm. The society which is having some amount of, the huge amount of discrimination. Society having, a huge shortage of goodness, having a huge lack of goodness. That society cannot sustain. If the human being has to sustain, then we need to create a society which would actually be homogeneous and which would strive for the equality for everyone. Vedic sages had thought of that equality. Lord Shri Krishna told Arjuna, Abhayang Sakto Sangshuddhi Jnano Yogo Vyavasthiti Dhanang Damang Jangyasya Swadhyaya Stapaha Sadhaya Arjavan Shraddhaya Tapaha Arjavam. So, if you split it among, we'll explain each one of them time permitting. And then he said, Ahimsa Satyam Akshrodo Tyago Shantihi Apuishunam Daya Vuteshu Oluluktang Mardavang Ri Chapulam. And then he says, Tejah Shamaha Dhritihi Shaucham Indriya Adroha Na Otimanita Bhavanti Sampadang Doiving Avijatasya Varata. Varata meaning it is a kind of qualifying word he used to tell Arjuna, call Arjuna sometimes in that, kind of calling name, because he thought that Arjuna is the person who is going to, transform this entire world. And Bharata was such a big, such a large, not this India now, and such a big, such a large that could have been considered as almost the world. And if something happens in India, that Bharat at that time, that becomes the dominant thing for the world. And the world has taken immensely, profusely from what the Bharata used to live for, think for at that period of time. So when Lord Sri Krishna had advised Arjuna, saying that, look at Arjuna, there are two categories of human attributes called values. One category is a dominant, divisive category, destructive category. There's a bad category, ugly category, is full of darkness. That category is asuric. That means that category is a demonic. And the other category is daivi. That means that category is a divinity, divinely. Now, in the divinely category, what I have read out is the divinely category. There are 26 different elements in this different categories, divinely categories. Here I highlighted saying that Arjuna, what was the dominant, factor of Arjuna's personality? He said Arjuna's personality, the dominant factor is Arjavam. Arjavam is what? Is a simplicity. It's very simple. It's very straight. It doesn't have anything worked out in the back and take other things in the forward. One of my book in Mother Leadership, I had mentioned this 2M principle. What is the 2M principle? 2M principle is the mind and mouth. Mind and mouth. What Arjuna had lived for, had believed in, that was there in his utterance. That was there in his voice. And once it was there in his voice, what he would have said, he used to say that I am for this. He did not have any anger, and the Lord had to foster the anger in him. When did he become angry? He became angry only when his son Abhimanyu was killed, you know, ferociously in an abnormal condition by all the leading, for the so-called heroes of the demonic side, the side of Duryodhana. Abhimanyu was a great warrior. Abhimanyu had said, come on, have fight with me, following the principles of war. Do not deviate from. You consider that you are very great. Have a fight with me. And they fought with him individually, and everybody collapsed. Abhimanyu was first chased by Dronacharya. Dronacharya could not cope up with Abhimanyu's, war. Dronacharya, but Abhimanyu did not kill him. Abhimanyu's war. Then Karn used to consider that he was a very great, even superior to Arjuna. There are a lot of people, even a great poet during this, for last century, he has praised Karna so much. And even such that Karna was a representative of all goodness, and it's just the opposite. Karna was a person who was a companion of that ugly person, Duryodhana. In the courtyard of this Duryodhana, when Draupadi was, called there, Draupadi was brought there, and Draupadi was stripped away of her, dress. was attempted to strip away of her dress. Karna was the person who was actually chanting, and he was actually fostering, and he was actually encouraging the brother of Duryodhana to do that. He did a crime, not only a crime at that point of time, but several other occasions. But that was a major, major, major crime that he did. This Karna is to consider that he was a great warrior, and by a chance he could get one Brahmastra, ultimate weapon, which could kill Arjuna. There's only one Brahmastra or Daivi Astra or the divinely weapon he could garner and gather through his devotional practice over a continuous long period of time. And that he used to consider that he was actually capable enough to and he used to consider, he used to have atimanita. Lord Sri Krishna said, naha atimanita. Karna was full of atimanita, meaning he was prideful of himself. And this Karna had a war with Abhimanyu and could not withstand the force of war which Abhimanyu. So Abhimanyu could even kill Karna. He did not. Like this, all seven people who had, encircled Abhimanyu, individually, all of them collapsed with Abhimanyu. But again, then Duryodhana thought that, okay, now we have to combine and collectively aggress, collectively, jump on this young person. Otherwise, we can't cope up and kill this young person. So that they did. And Abhimanyu was saying that you are all great warriors. You are all known as great people. Even Dronacharya, the Acharya, the teacher, Dronacharya, you are the teacher. You are also doing that. You are also deviating from principles. And this Abhimanyu was killed that that mercilessly, illogically, with deviating from all rules and all formations of all kinds of principles of waging a war at that time. That had actually made Arjuna reactive. Only that is the occasion when, why? Because this illogical, this these people, they had actually done a crime, and the crime against not only a young boy, but also crime against the noble human being, noble humanity. Therefore Arjuna was angry, and he took the revenge of it. So the point is, Lord Sri Krishna has mentioned that abhaya, meaning fearlessness. What is the fear? The fear of losing the life. Why are you afraid? Never get be afraid. Why you get afraid? But if you love God, if you have thought of God, if you have got any kind of benevolence with the divinely things, be on par with that. Nurture that. Have that in life. Have that in your principle. Have that in your position, and then you'll find what the divine has stood for you will be the best for you. You don't have to be worried about your own consequences of things. Do good things, always think of God, be with the divine, maintain the and follow the divine principles in life, and you'll find your fearlessness is never affected. Then he said, sattva sanshuddhi. Sattva sanshuddhi. Sattva is what? Truthfulness. Sattva sanshuddhi is truthfulness within yourself. Now, truthfulness, we have a lot of views about truth. Now, there is a modern jargon when it's being said that truth is something which is relative. Something which is truthful for a person may not be truthful for others. So, it's a relative thing. Now, this relative truth, now, truth is relative. So, when we consider that the truth is relative, in this relative truth, nothing stands. So it's always the relative truth. Therefore, anybody can explain anything and can justify that as something being true to him or her. Not that. Truth is something which is eternal. Truth is something which comes from the divine. Truth is something which has to have a touch of divine. Truth is something which is, enduring. Truth is something which would always sustain, which would always be sustainable. Truth is that which is good for you and good for others. Truth can't be that which is just good for you and not good for others. Truth can't be that which is good for you and bad for others. It cannot be that. So it's what is truth? Truth is something which is good for you, good for me, good for others, good for all. So that is Sattva Sangshuddhi. Sattva Sangshuddhi is what? Lord Sri Krishna is saying, you create your internal horizon, your inside, your intrinsics, you make it tinged with that truthfulness, wherein you have identified something which is a fragment of truth, maybe. Someone else also has identified a fragment of truth, maybe. So, in your quest for the wholesome truth, the total truth, you cannot disregard that, ridicule the other one. So, what you do, you accept the truth having present in every entity in the world, every living things in the world, every for positions in the world, and every elements in the world. So, the elemental truth, situational truth, localization, locational truth, and the truth of one segment has to be considered as a truth contributing to the wholesome holistic truth in totality. So that kind of bent of mind you have to develop. So if you can develop that, then you are actually in the pathway of reaching to the truth. And he's saying danang damang jangyascha. Danang damang jangyascha. Danang is what? We know that in the concept of Pancharin, what the sages have actually advocated for, Pancharin, your indebtedness to the human society as a whole. How do you, get out of it? You have to have a respectful attitude to human being at large, but at the same time, you should be a person who is a person of giving. Now, person of giving, what is its importance? I'll take the discussion to a area which is very relevant to trade and commerce and corporatization in the world. And in that, the observation of some leading scholars of the corporatization and thoughts of management and business, some leading scholars like Peter Drucker, Tom Peters in the Western world, after everything they did in their life, at the end of it, when Peter Drucker came to an understanding that the principle of Bhagavad Gita, which advocates the principle of giving, is really very essential for corporate. Now, why is it very essential for corporate? Because he thinks that it's very essential for the corporate because the corporate would actually through the process of giving. What do you give? Somebody says, I can give that only which I have in excess of. The principle of giving is there laid down in Mahabharata, and it was mentioned by sage Vaishnavan. And Vaishnavan had mentioned that the giving is something which is irrespective of your content of things. So it's an attitude of the mind. It's not a content of, for the treasures that you have. You cannot, if you think that I have only small, why do I give? You can't give. The giver is a person, or givers are those people who can give because they think giving is essential. Giving to the extent of, it helps the world society, the global society to come up. So, the extent you can, you give. Now, what is the concept of giving in corporate context as advocated by Peter Drucker? The context of giving is said, So let's say I have a 8 hours work principle and I do the 8 hours work principle. And so what I do is I commercialize my hours, meaning I give 8 hours because I get paid for 8 hours. Now I get paid for 8 hours, so I give back that 8 hours, contribute to the company. I'm a very fair person, no problem, no doubt about it. But then again, this person is not a superior person. He is a person of ordinary breed. Why? Because the person equates, it's a commerce. Person does the commerce. Four apples are 4 into 4, $16. So you have paid $16 and therefore you have done justice to the market. But then again, when somebody says that okay, you have bought food, apples, and you have paid $16, you want to consume all. So the power of acquisition and the power of position and power of consumption. So what Barton Russell advocates, your power to acquire, your power to possess, and your power to consume. Now, this does not fit in the concept of Daiviguna. The concept of Daiviguna says, or the divinely qualities says, that you create a mental framework, you create an attitude wherein you will be a giver. You can give in any way. If you don't have money, don't give money. If you don't have resources, don't give resources. But you can give an iota of your thoughts. You can offer your well wishes. You can offer your good wishes without even having let the other person know. You can offer your good justice. And also, you as a worker, me as a worker, we can offer our, you know, physical and mental energy to the benefit of the organization, to the benefit of the society, to the benefit of the world. So I become a giver. What do I give? I give my mind. I give an iota of my mind. What do I give? I give unto the world an iota of my energy. I give unto the world a segment of my whatever I can contribute, my contribution. I give unto the world whatever goodness I have in my thoughts and I have cultivated within. I spread that out to the world and try and find that the world becomes a place of goodness and place to become place of heavenly living for others. So that is what is the giving, the concept of giving, and it actually goes against the principle of Russell's acquisition, possession, and consumption. Acquisition, who acquires? You. Possession, who does possess? You. Consumption, who consumes? You. So it is selfishness that has been aggrandized, selfishness that is advised to be multiplied. And if everybody becomes that much selfish in the world, will the world become a noble place or the world will become a jungle of animals? That world actually fits in for the world of animals. Human being considered as a needing animal. That becomes that world. But when Lord Sri Krishna advises Arjuna that even giving should be considered as a noble quality, it is a noble quality. So it is a Daivi Guna, it is a divinely Guna. So be that, at least think good of others. So that is. And then he said, Jagyasya. Jagya is also sacrifice. Swadhyaya tapaha. Swadhyaya tapa. And Lord Sri Krishna suggests to Arjuna that Arjuna, unless you retrieve the goodness from within, you cannot sustain and maintain the thoughts of goodness for a longer period. So, what you have to do? You have to do your self study. What is a self study? You do your meditation, you internalize yourself, you look within, you try to, introspect, you try to look within your own domain and try to find out what good you have done, what bad, if at all, you have done. If you've done all good, that's fine. If you've not done all good, then what you have to do? You have to correct yourself and get out of those anything which is deviated from goodness in your life so far. So you introspect yourself and if required, correct yourself and put yourself in the pathways of sattva sanshuddhi, meaning you are now a person who is truthfully oriented to the path of truth. So Lord Shri Krishna says, and then tapaha, you are you have done you on your own, and then tapaha. Tapaha you do is known as tapasya. Tapasya meaning you are doing ascesis and you are trying. Tapasya is your concentration of mind. Not only that, your mind is concentrated, but concentrated on what? Your mind could be concentrated on a object of, for greed. Your mind could be concentrated on an object of need. Your mind could be concentrated on an object of conflict. Your mind could be concentrated on various things of the world. Your mind could be distracted when you are concentrating or attempting to concentrate. That means what? Your mind will go haywire, and you can't get hold of the mind unless you have got a proper objective to focus on the mind. What is the objective? As Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned, Ishwar Lavi Jivaner Uddesho. Meaning, Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned the objective of life should be the realization and achieving the spirit of God in this life. If that be so, then what you do is when you are doing a tapasya, ascesis, in that process, what you have? You have got a mental objective, you have got a psychological objective, you have got an objective in your consciousness, and in that objective, you have a frame of God, you have got a idea of God. Maybe you have got an idea of God in some form of God, or in some form of a noble person on earth, or in any form of a voidness, in a shunya, or in the form of light, in form of air, in form of water, in form of any infinite source, or a very small thing. You can conceive on that and think that yes, you are actually aspiring the divine and aspiring to have the touch of the divine in your functional and the practical life. So when you do that, you are actually closer to the realm of that goodness, closer to the realm of that divinity in life. And that's what he is being advised by Lord Shri Krishna. And he says again, Arjavam. And Arjuna, you become that simple. You don't be, that kind of calculative within. You don't be strategizing within. You don't be, that kind of, complicated within. You don't try to become a complex personality in your mind. You try to become a simple personality within, and you try to become a person who is known as who can be considered as a person with the most straight and simple thing, simplicity. And simplicity with a purpose. What is the purpose? The purpose is to achieve the spirit of God in life, achieve the realization of God in life, and achieve the goodness for everyone in life, and achieve the touch of light and that achieve the touch of that infinite Guma in life, and achieve that and maintain that divinity throughout in life. So that is what has been advised by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. And the next he continues saying, Ahimsa Satyam Akshurodaha. Now, ahimsa shatram akshoda tyaka shantihi apoishunam. Now, ahimsa is a non-conflict in your thoughts and in your actions. Himsa is a conflict, is a war, is a game of conflict, and trying to avoid that. Satyam, trying to be inclined to the truthfulness or the path of truthfulness in your life. And there are a lot of hazards, there are a lot of issues in corporate world, in society, in various places, in families even, and in various organizations, institutions, and even in free society, where this maintaining this becomes an issue. But then there should be some clue to this. If you find an immediate problem to that, then there are ways to become and maintain that. One of those means is to have a degree of tolerance, degree of absorption within, and tolerance forward. Absorption of certain things, wild things within, and tolerance forward. And then you'll find you win over the situation and you become a person, you retain a person, you maintain a spirit of personality, which is goodness and truthfulness in your own life. And that is one of the things. And he said, Satyam akrodaha tyagaha shantihi apoishunam. Akrodha is a, is a lack of krodha. Krodha is anger. Lord Sri Krishna said, anger is something which kills the person. What is that? Because, when you nurture, when you allow anger to creep in, then what you have is anger. Krodhat bhavati sammohan, sammoha smriti bibhramaha, smriti, smriti varangshad buddhi nashang, buddhi nashang pranashyate. Earlier phase, Lord Sri Krishna had advised Arjuna not to be angry. Do not be very angry. Why? Because if you become angry, Krodhat Bhavati Samman, you develop a kind of delusion in mind and your power to discriminate, think between good and bad, that's actually lost. Krodhat Bhavati Samman and then Samman Buddhinasha. The power of intellect is actually eroded. Your power of intellect is actually, declined. Your power of intellect is lost. Arjuna, the power of intellect lost means you are lost. Your memory is lost. Your thought of goodness is lost. Your touch with goodness is lost. And therefore, you will be a person who is inclined to something which is, against the Daivigana, against the divinely qualities. So, get rid of that. And when you have, lack of this intellect, what happens is you can't find a way out for the life. So your life will be at jeopardy. So your life would be a huge crisis. So don't invite that. So what is the principle? Try to get rid of that anger. So akshrodha, tyaga. Tyaga is what? The power to have that, get disillusioned with the possessions. Rasa that said, possessions is important. Lord Sri Krishna is saying, yes, possession is good, but don't be inclined to have possessions only. Don't be addicted to possessions. Don't think that possession would make you great. Possession can't make you great. So if you have some possession, be indifferent to the possessions. Don't go on grabbing and have the possessions. Have a reasonable degree of possession. Have a rational position. Have a position for life. Don't go for multiplied abnormal positions. That becomes a greed that destroys the, balance of human society. So Lord Sri Krishna had advised Arjuna that this is what human beings should get rid of. And Shantihi Apuishunam, Shanti, this peace. You'll find these Vedic sages always Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti used to chant always. At the end of each mantra, that Shanti, because they always wanted that let Shanti or the peace and tranquility remain and become more dominant and become a power in the society. Let that happen in the society that way. So that's Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So that Shanti is something which they wanted to have for human society always, That is there. So he's saying, oh Arjuna, so this Shanti, we have to work for that. We have to create the Shanti for everybody. Avishunam, then You don't have any enemy for that. Don't consider anybody as your enemy. Don't work out your principles and your actions of life considering somebody as your enemy. So, and he said, Daya Bhuteshu Alaluttam. Daya be, for be merciful to people, be, for favorable to people. You be, if you have got something to donate, you donate to people. If you've got a mercy to offer, you offer mercy to people. So that is what should be your inclination of mind. And to whom? To every human being. Aluluktam, not having any greed. You can't have a greed. Forget about that. Don't be greedy. You have certain needs in life, but not a greed to, that has been mentioned by many great people that, the God has provided us with, immense of treasures in this world to fulfill the, actual need of people, but not to satisfy the greed of people. So if you have got the actual need of people, that actual need would be actually fulfilled in this world, and God has managed and maintained that world that way. But the greed of people can't be sustained and maintained and honored. So greed becomes enormous, and greed is a demonic quality. So like anger, greed is again another demonic quality. And then he says, Madhava hi chapalam and Tejo Shamaha Dhriti Shaucho Indriyo Nigriho Dhihi Vidya Satyam Akshroda. So all these 24 and all these good qualities you need to have. You need to be dhi, you need to have a tej of the energy within to perform, energy within the spirit within to do the things good for the world. Now, anyone who wants to have a meditation, wants to have a journey in the spiritual world, also needs some energy, because that needs a huge energy to concentrate on God. That also needs a huge energy to remain within yourself. Otherwise you can't do that. The mind cannot be contained by you unless you have that sufficient power within to hold the mind back and hold the mind within, hold the mind connected within. So this is how Lord Shri Krishna has mentioned that the Daivi Guna is something which you need to follow in life. If somebody can follow even a few of these Daivi Guna in life, turns the life from, transforms the life from, makes the life, for having initiated a journey from the mere humanly frame of existence to an existence which could be called of divinely life. And it's not a overnight game. It can't be achieved overnight. It can't be, developed overnight. So what is that? It has to be practiced. It has to be maintained. It has to be nurtured. And this practice has to be maintained and nurtured for a long, long period, if not forever. Why? Because, this is something which has to be nurtured every day. Today's realization of thought, today's realization of truth, today's realization of the divine cannot be the same when you reach the tomorrow, and the same way you try to have all these realizations and good thoughts within, you will find a new element of thought comes in. You will find a new dawning of the realization occurs. You will find you understand the same complete truth or the same truth in a new manner, in a revised manner, in a revised way. So this is what, if we follow, if we are advised to follow, where is the harm to global society? This would transform the global society. This would help the global millions and billions. This will help the global millions and billions to come up and have good positions in life and have a good life, have a life of happiness, true happiness, and the life which would be fulfilling in the truest sense of the term. So others, let them bark. Let us not pay heed to any others crying over the other things. With these few words, I close here today. Hey Prabhu, Shachi, Dananda Parabrahma Sanatan, Daivi Gun, Shavar Monthe, Prarana Dek, O the Lord, O the Supreme, I pray unto you that these qualities, set of qualities of divinely set of attributes, as has been mentioned by Lord Shri Krishna and advised to Arjuna, through Arjuna to human society, let it have some acceptability. Let us follow this. Let human being on earth try and follow this, accept this. O the Lord. Namaskar. We'll now do the chanting. আমরা আবার বেদমন্ত্র পাঠ করব, সবাই জয়েন করব। ॐ वाग्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनहो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठिता
ॐ वाक्मे मनोऽसि प्रतिष्ठितं मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम्
आविः मे
आविः
वेदस्यमानि सः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहसिहा
वेदस्य मानि सः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहसिह
नोदितेन अहोरात्रां संददामि
अनेनो तेनो अहोरात्रं संददामि
रीतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि
रीतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि
तद्मामवतु तद्वक्तारामवतु
तत्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु
अवतु माम् अवतु वक्ताराम् अवतु वक्ताराम्
अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् अवतु वक्तारम्
शांति शांति शांति
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ आपयन्तु मम अङ्गानि वाक्प्राणचक्षुः
ॐ याप्तु मम गानि वाक्प्राणचक्षुः
श्रोत्रमाथः बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि
श्रोत्रमः बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम्
ब्रह्मो निराकुर्यात् माम ब्रह्मो निराकरोत्
माहं ब्रह्मो निरकुर्यात् माम ब्रह्मो निरकरोत्
अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मे अस्तु
अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मे अस्तु
धर्मस्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु
धर्मस्ते मयि सन्ते मयि सन्तु
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शांति शांति शांति।
ॐ पूर्णमादाः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते ॐ
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते।
पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ओम शांति
ओम शांति शांति।
ॐ सहनावतु सहनौ भुनाक्तु
ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु।
प्रियं करवावहै
सह
सह
वीर्यं
वीर्यं करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै
तेजस्विनो अधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ओम शांति शांति शांति।
ॐ शान्नो मित्रः शान्वरुणः शान्नो भवति हरियो महा
ओम शंकरः शंवरुणः शंभवति हरिओहम्।
शान्नो इन्द्रः बृहस्पतिः शान्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः
शं इंद्रः बृहस्पतिः शं विष्णुरुक्रमः।
नमः ब्रह्मणे नमः देवाय
नमः ब्रह्मणे नमः देवाय।
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मसि
त्वमेव ब्रह्मोऽसि।
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि।
रीतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि
रीतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि।
तद्मामवतु तद्भक्तानामवतु
तन्मामवतु
अवतु मामवतु भक्तानाम्
अवतु मां।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ओम शांति शांति शांति।
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः देवा
ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृण्वाम देवा।
पुष्येमाशवीयजोत्रः
भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः।
हिरय्याङ्गैः
हिरय्याङ्गैस्तुष्टवाङ्गतनुभिः।
यदायु
दायु क्षेम
Shanti.
Om
Shanti.
We shall now do a meditation for 2 minutes. All of us will do meditation for 2 minutes. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. We are closing here. We shall meet again on next Sunday at 5:30 evening in the according to Indian Standard Time. 5:30 next Sunday in the evening IST. Wish you all the best. সবাই ভালো থাকুন, ভালো থাকবেন সবাই. All the best to everybody. নমস্কার.